Welcome to the second edition of Talon Talk. This is the first in a series in which we will bring you inside information into each individual program. This episode focuses on our men's basketball team. We'll have head coach Scott Sanderson, assistant coach Drew Wilson, and then later on, toward the end of the show, we'll have CJ Williamson, junior wing, that returns this season fresh off of being a third-team All-American a season ago, first-team All-Conference. He averaged 15.47 points per game. When the coronavirus outbreak happened and brought everything to a halt, our men's basketball team was ready to head to Kansas City, where they were one of the number 2 seeds in the NAIA national tournament, ready to take on Shawnee State. They were 27-4, had an 18-game winning streak earlier in the year, and a lot of high aspirations. And then, as it did for everyone, the world just kind of grinded to a halt. So we're going to find out from our coaches what they've done in the time since. How do you manage recruiting in a coronavirus era? How do you keep in touch with your team and make sure that they're able to get work in when you can't even be in the presence of one another for months on end because of the way that the world has been impacted? We'll also take a look at the signing class for this Faulkner Eagles basketball team and tentatively what's set on the schedule right now. We'll find out from CJ Williamson. Have you kept in shape? Has your game improved? Maybe even what are you watching on Netflix during your downtime? Thanks for joining us for this second episode of Talon Talk. We're back on the other side.
Coming to Montgomery, October 1st for one night only.
Spying on any American is a big deal. I can't think of a worse way to investigate something than to have Congress do it.
Faulkner University presents Representative Trey Gowdy at its annual benefit dinner.
In politics, it's just about winning. And I mean, the Constitution gives the House no role in deciding how this trial takes place.
Order your tickets today at faulkner.edu or by calling 386-7257.
Welcome back to Talon Talk. We are doing our first team preview this week, and we're starting where we left off back when coronavirus slowed the world to a halt. We've got our Faulkner men's basketball coaches in Scott Sanderson and Drew Wilson on with us here. Guys, welcome in. It's been a long time. It feels like it's been about a year since we tipped something off. It's been the longest 4 months I think any of us have experienced in quite some time. So there's a lot that I wanted to cover, and I know you've talked about it kind of ad nauseum at this point through the different things that we've done. But for the sake of this particular medium, let's look back at that team in that season. You guys have told me before that you're never really sure what a team is going to be until you actually start to get into it. And at what point did you realize this was going to be a special team?
Well, I felt like the Battle at the Beach when we played so well down there, and then we had a buzzer beater to beat LSU Shreveport, which was a big win for us, a top 10 win in the country. Then we beat Lindsey Wilson. I thought once we string those 3 games back to back to back, I felt like we had a chance to have a good team. We were still figuring some things out with different guys and roles on our team, but I felt at that point, we had a chance to have a pretty good season.
And that really kind of was, Carter Moles and I have talked about it in Sports Information before as well, that it seems like when you made that tournament run, you went from being this team that could go either way into you were heading in one direction pretty clearly the rest of the way. And so you end up winning 18 in a row, winning the regular season conference title. And we'll take you here as we'll put a little something else on the screen for folks to look at so they don't have to look at our faces quite so much. I'm going to take you here to this night. When you guys see this and you go back to just the atmosphere, the meaning of that game, I mean, this is kind of quintessential small college basketball. This is what it is about. These are the moments that you play for. How do you guys reflect on that night now, some 5 months after the fact?
Just the fans there. You see the fans there in the stands and the excitement that the university had. two top 10 teams in the country ranked, playing for a conference championship, and just a lot of excitement around the school, a lot of excitement for our players. And, it's a big game for both universities and for both programs, and for the game to end the way it did. And it was a great team win for us, and helped us win the league.
And it's one of those, you could probably do this for 20 years, and there's a handful of those nights that you'll really remember that stand out the way that this one stood out. And you talked about it, Coach. It was an electric atmosphere. One of the things that I look at as I watch this video that jumps out at me, and I see it differently than I did a couple months ago, is look at that old, ugly floor. So things are going to look a little different in the gym this year. So you guys got to be part of the process to give input into what you wanted the floor to look like. When you saw the final design down there actually on the floor, how'd you feel like it upgraded the gym?
Drew?
I think that's a huge deal. Just a look at the gym, and how we want it to look, and getting the new branding down there. It's a more modern look. That's the first thing most people see. It's one of the feature pieces, not just of our program, but of the whole athletic department. And I think just being able to get our new branding and the new logos that look so good, being able to get them on the floor quicker than anticipated is awesome.
When you're talking about those kinds of things, I mean, we get excited about them because we see this stuff every day, and it's nice to to kind of update it. Does that stuff matter at all when you're trying to show things off to recruits and show them the facilities that you have? How much does that stuff impact?
Oh, big time, I think. I think that's it just shows the commitment to athletics on the university, and the commitment to being good. And continuing to advance regardless of going 27-4 and all that, but you're committed to still advancing. I think it definitely shows that.
We will set aside the recruiting piece of this conversation for a minute.
Can somebody get back on defense, please?
That's right. So we screeched to a halt there in March. You guys get the 2 seed. You have the selection show. You're ready to go. Scott, you've talked about it before, that you just had a feeling that night. You're looking at tape on Shawnee, and then it just occurred to you, we're not playing this thing. And lo and behold, that's the way that it turns out, is you don't end up getting to play this thing at all. And then you immediately go into this tailspin of, your student athletes are sent away because everybody is sent home. So I think the first challenge that every coaching staff has to face is probably figuring out communication. So in this coronavirus era, what has that been like? How have you been able to keep in touch with your guys through the lockdown and everything else?
Well, like I said many times, it was unfortunate, especially for our 6 seniors, to have such a great season, and they'll never get an opportunity again to play in a national tournament. And as you said, once we found out our opponent, I watch a lot of film. Drew and I both watched a lot of film, but about 10 o'clock that night, I realized, hey, we're not playing, and we didn't get confirmation about that until the next day. So that's disheartening. Trying to stay in touch with them. We've Zoomed a couple of times with our entire team. Newcomers and returning guys, we've Zoomed with them a few times, and then we've talked to them individually, at least once or twice, or at least once every week or two. We've kind of stayed in touch with them. We stayed in touch with them a lot, when March and April and May was going on, when school was still in session. We were making sure our guys were doing their work and online and doing their part there as far as the academic part of it. But even since school was finished in May, we've kind of stayed in touch with our guys and communicated with them. A couple of them have been down here for a day or two. We had some recruits here in town, and we got camp coming up here in a few weeks. That a few of them will come back here and work. But so we stayed in touch with them throughout this time, and all of them are doing really, really good right now.
One of the challenges that I think these guys faced is a lot of it kind of depended on where they were when they got sent home, because in places like Mobile, they took down the rims during the lockdown. And so for a lot of guys, they've had a hard time getting to a gym until recently. How much have you guys been able to keep them involved in workouts or practices or anything else on their own? Have you been able to give them any kind of drills they can do, given the circumstances?
Yeah, so I'll jump in. We worked with, we're fortunate to have a really, really good strength conditioning coach, and Alex Cohen, and right when it started, he said, "Listen, I know they're closed. He put something together where they could do it anywhere. They didn't have to have any equipment. It's like you said, we had one in Houston where all the gyms were shut down. We had one in Miami where everything was shut down. We had, all over the place. And so all the requirements are different. I said, listen, we just got to have something that they can do, that they can look at and they can do regardless of where they are, what their situation is, whatever. And he did that. He put that together for them. And so they've had access to that to be able to do stuff. And, as they've, restrictions have started to ease, we've kind of put back in there where they can, they can have something where, now they have access to weights, and now they have access to, some of that stuff. And so he's put some of that back into the workouts now, but Alex did a really, really good job of putting those programs together for our athletes.
We had some funny things happen too. Daniel's down in Miami with his mother, and there's a big lake back behind where he's staying, and there was a $500 fine if you got caught running behind that lake. I said, you just better run a little faster then, so you don't get caught. That's awful. It's a fine. You better get some speed going around that lake from now on.
That's right. So one of the things, we talk about keeping up with the current guys. Then you have the element, and without sort of getting into the specifics of who the players are, you guys had to figure out, how do we recruit in this era when for months you can't bring kids to campus? Your communication is limited. There's not like there's games going on for you to go watch and see kids in person. So how did you guys adapt to all of that when it came to building this class that we'll talk about here in just a moment?
Well, it wasn't easy. You're trying to do evaluations on some kids that you haven't seen at all. And we've signed a couple of transfers. We signed a couple of high school kids, and we might have seen a couple of them, once or twice, but not very often. So most of the work was done over the phone. And I've said this many times. I think a lot of people, a lot of universities, a lot of basketball programs will make mistakes on kids that they're recruiting, and a lot of kids will make mistakes on the schools that they end up going to because they weren't able to visit the schools. And so you're trying to call as many people as about that young man, outside of his playing ability, just kind of what kind of person he is on the floor and off the floor, because as important it is for him to be a good fit on the floor, we want to be a good fit off the floor. And so you got to do your due diligence as far as touching a lot of people that touch their lives to find out a good bit about them. So it's, you don't ever really know what you have until they actually get here on campus. But we have a pretty good vibe and feel for what we think we've signed so far for this upcoming season.
And I think beyond that too, you talk about like our players, meeting our team. They're tight. They're some of our best recruiters and best selling point. And you're bringing guys in that don't get a chance to. Normally they would get a chance to meet and hang out with our team through March and April and get a little bit of May, but they didn't get to do that either. So that was challenging too.
Now, we're about to break down this signing class, and for a lot of folks, this will be the first exposure they have to some of these names. But before we get into that, let's look at these guys. You see Trey Seal on the floor here right now in the video. It's Trey Seal, it's Garrett Sanderson, it's Brandon Reeves, Jamarcus Darian, Willie Dunbar, Derek Donegan. That's our returners, and I hope I didn't leave anybody out there as I run those down.
Said CJ. I don't know if you said him.
Oh, yeah, and CJ Williamson. And it's funny that I leave him out because CJ will be on after the next commercial break. CJ will be our first student-athlete interview. And you talk about these guys, they go from some of them were major contributors and some of them didn't get as many minutes to this is now your core, and you're looking for leadership out of a lot of these guys. So tell us about those returners first and what you like about that particular group.
Well, I mean, I think CJ coming in got newcomer of the year in the league. He averaged right at 15, 16 points, 5 rebounds a game. I think he's capable of doing a much more than that. Although he had a great year, I think he's capable of doing much more than that. He's got to become a better rebounder. He needs to, involve into becoming a better leader. But he should have a really big year for us. The next guy, Garrett, who shot the ball, really well from 3 this year. Made right at 2 threes a game for us, rebounding the ball. Just his value sometimes goes, people don't understand, because a lot of times the ball is touching his hands where he's making decisions to get guys shots, and he takes the ball out of bounds a lot for us underneath the bucket to create shots for certain people. And so his value and his knowledge and his brain is obviously very, very important. Then you have Trey Seal, who many don't know, but he pretty much played hurt his whole sophomore year. He was hurt the whole time, and that's just the kind of kid he is. He didn't really say anything. He kind of played through it and had surgery this summer. And I look for him to have a big, big year for us. He's very versatile. He can guard multiple spots. He shoots the ball well from the perimeter, and he's an everyday guy. And I think he looks to have another big year for us next year and even better. Derek, he's probably – per minutes played, probably the best rebounding guy on our basketball team. He didn't play as many minutes, but a lot of these next 3 guys, a lot of our guys, the second year they come back, they make huge jumps. We're hoping that Derek's one of those guys. Brandon Reeves, another guy who didn't play quite as much last year as maybe we had thought. He's a very good 3-point shooter. He's extremely athletic. He understands more so what we're doing defensively. We look for him to have a big step-up year for us as well. Then you have Willie, who's another player who I think will have a big year. I mean, he was in and out last year a little bit throughout the season. He can shoot the ball. He's very active around the basket. He can alter shots at the rim. I think all 3 of those guys, Derek, Brandon, and Willie, I think all 3 of those guys this coming year will have big years and big impact years for us potentially, just because they've been in our system for a year, and more times than not, guys that have been in our program for a year turn out to be really, really good the following year. And the last player is Jamarcus, who unfortunately got hurt. He's been hurt both years he's been here, so people don't really know what he can or can't do, and because he's been hurt the whole time. And he's a very good on-ball defender, a good decision maker, a low mistake guy. Got to be able to get his shot off quicker, but I think he'll be another guy that's been in our program again. He's been in our program for 2 years, although he hadn't really played because he's been hurt. His value should be big for us next year as well.
And now we're going to transition into some of these signees. And the first guy, he was able to come in January. Tell us about that. We're going to get into talking specifically about Daniel Garmendia, but that is a thing that you guys have been able to do with international players sometimes, is bring them in January and let them kind of learn without actually having a lot of responsibility in terms of making adjustments quickly, and they get to pick the system up. I think Milan Skundrich is a guy that you guys were able to do this with. What's the value in that, with being able to have players come in January and sit?
I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, Drew knows that we needed not just Daniel coming in, but we needed a point guard. We were losing our 2 point guards from last year's team, and so, and we have Jamarcus, who's been hurt the last 2 years. We hadn't seen him play the last couple of years. And so being able to get a guy like Daniel come in and be able to watch him practice for a couple of months and get to know him. And I mean, that's just important. I mean, your relationship with every player is important. But I always feel like your relationship with your point guard is even more important, because he's kind of the keys to what's going on the floor, both offensively and defensively. He's a terrific shooter. He's a very good decision maker, a good passer, and so we look for him to have a big impact. But at least we know now, even before he's played, we've been around him for 2 or 3 months now, and that's just a big value for us knowing him and for him knowing us and kind of knowing our system. There's still going to be a learning curve because he hadn't actually played games, but we've always brought one person in at the semester, and it's always been a huge value to us, and it'll be the same with Daniel.
We're going to get into your high school signees here. The first one, you guys brought in Derek Murphy from John Overton High School in Nashville. And Drew, you've spoken really well of this guy. What is it about Derek Murphy that you guys liked?
He's another guy. He's one of those versatile guards. He's quick. He's left-handed. Reminds us a little bit of a kid, Nick Drake, who is a left-hander from Nashville. Really, really good player for us, and just plays low to the ground, shoots it good. He's got, obviously needs to get stronger. All high school kids got to get a little stronger and develop their body, but just his explosiveness to the rim. He's got a good little, mid-range pull-up, and, he's got a chance to be really, really good. And coaches, he likes left-handers a lot, so that'll help.
I have this thing for left-handed. I don't know why. I just do. I like left-handed guards, and he's very, very smooth. And Jay Walt, one of my assistants, we've been for a long, long time. He knows Derek and knows the family and knows a lot about him as a person. And Jay Walton is a top-notch individual. And so when he speaks highly of this young man, and we had him down here, we're very excited about his potential here at the university.
Fantastic. All right, next high school guy that we look at is CJ Hines from Archer High School, Lawrenceville, Georgia product. CJ, a guy that I think I was able to meet his family a few weeks ago when they finally opened the university up, and you could have visits. Guys, what is it about CJ Hines that was appealing?
Just his ability to shoot the ball. I mean, both CJ and Derek both have good size, good length to them. They both got to get stronger, but he can shoot the basketball. He can play multiple positions. He can guard multiple positions. He's got great feel, and he just loves the game. He loves the game. He loves to compete. He loves to play. Every time I call him during the summer, he's always in the gym working out. And so, again, I think CJ and Derek both have bright futures in our program. Just their ability to be able to come in here and learn and listen and absorb everything that we're trying to do is going to be a big opponent to how quickly they're able to help us this upcoming season.
Yeah, CJ played he played also in that region that he plays in Georgia is one of the best regions for high school basketball, maybe in the country, and was really productive on a good team. And they got, I know the coach pretty well. He coaches them up really well and does a good job with them. They run a lot of stuff, so he'll be used to, being held accountable a little bit and those kind of things. But that's he averaged those numbers in one of the toughest regions, for high school basketball, definitely in the Southeast, maybe in the country.
Next four guys that we look at in this class are all transfer guys. The first one, Jordan Hamlet, coming in from Lindsey Wilson, and this is a guy that had, averaged double-digit points and had a lot of success in one of the best conferences in the country. What does he do well?
Well, he does a little bit of everything. The main thing with Jordan is I believe he will bring us a lot of toughness. He's very strong defensively. He shoots the ball well. He can drive it downhill. He does a lot of things. He can guard multiple spots. I mean, if he had to play the point guard in a pinch, he could do that. I just like his versatility, but probably more than anything, just his toughness. He's been hurt a couple of times since he started college. I think he's excited about being here. We're excited about him coming. I think he's going to have an immediate impact on our basketball team, both on the floor and off the floor. And he's just going to be a great addition to our program.
The next guy that we go to is Justin Wilson, who is transferring in from Marian University. Justin had, I think, limited playing time his first year, and then obviously a little more. What about Justin jumps at you?
Well, again, he's a guy now. He's about 6'4". He can play multiple spots. He can drive it downhill. He's got a very good mid range. Again, he's another guy that can guard multiple spots. And as you're seeing a trend here, all these guys are anywhere from 6'2", 6'3" to 6'4", and it allows you to do different things defensively, allows you to switch, allows you to have big traps. And again, his versatility. He's got to improve his outside shooting, but driving to the basket downhill and getting to his mid-range, he's really good. He was very successful on the last team he was at. He wanted to go somewhere where he had an opportunity to win. And like I told him, he's going to be playing with a lot better players, and I think he will do nothing but elevate his play.
Next guy that we go to, and I got to see his workout, a little bit of his workout last week, and this is a guy that you said when you brought him in, you felt like could really shoot the ball, and Max DeHaan coming in from Northwestern College out in Wyoming. When you saw Max in person, did he bear out what you expected of him?
True.
Yeah. I think Max is kind of exactly what we were thinking he could be, a pick and pop 4-man. Can use his brain to really guard the way we want those ball screens covered up, and just really good. Had a similar experience. Wanted to win a little more. Wanted to come to a place where he could do some of that, but really. I think his brain and his ability to learn and absorb and those kind of things are really probably what's going to set him apart and give him a chance, because he can make a lot of shots, and he can, really, really understand what's going on. He got good feel for the game.
Very inside guys. I say our 4s and 5s a lot of times. I see him playing a lot of 4-4s. I'm not saying he couldn't play on the perimeter, but sometimes it takes a while to understand how we guard ball screens, and he's got very good knowledge, very good understanding. I think he'll pick it up quick. I don't think the learning curve will be quite as long for him, especially defensively, because that's a key spot for us. The 4s and the 5s, the guys guarding those spots and guarding those ball screens the way we do is very, very important, and allows us to keep teams in the low 40, high 30%, And then on top of that, he can shoot the 3. He's a pick and pop 3, so he's going to create space on the floor. And you got to have multiple guys that create some space on the floor, shooting the ball from 3, where it allows guys that are good drivers to be able to drive the ball downhill. So he's another very good piece to the puzzle for our basketball team for next year.
Next one, and the last one we've got on this recruiting class is a young man who made a lot of waves up in North Alabama in high school basketball, pretty well known up there. John Cole Norris, J.C. Norris, will be transferring in. Played and really played a lot of minutes early at the JUCO level before leaving school and transferring. So not sure. I think we've talked about a redshirt possibility for him for this year, but what did you guys see in him? Because again, he put up a lot of numbers in high school.
Drew?
Yeah, he played for a really good coach. Some Montgomery people will know Christian Swears, who's the son of longtime Trinity coach Jack Swears, and he played for him at Huntsville High School. And just a really tough, hard-nosed guard that can play the 2-1 spot. Versatile guy. We'll have to redshirt this year for at least a semester, most likely the whole year. But just really brings a lot of toughness. Just looking for an opportunity. Things didn't go the way you wanted them to at Roan, obviously, and so just looking for an opportunity to get back in and really use his skill set.
Sometimes for guys like him, I look at a guy like Nate, who was in a program for 2 years, and I knew a coach in high school that coached him, and he knew about me and knew about our program and kind of how we ran things. And Nate comes here, and he had a pretty good junior year, but then look at him as a senior, and he probably wasn't our best player, but he was our most valuable player. From a defensive standpoint, not turning the ball over, and JC's a lot like that. I mean, he's a guy that's going to be able to come in here, sit out the year, but learn and get some information and know how to play. And I think a lot of these transfers have come from programs that they probably haven't won as much as they want to win. And that's the big thing for all those guys, is to be able to come in here and buy in to what we're doing and what we're teaching and how we're teaching it. because you got to develop some team camaraderie among each other and an understanding and a trust of each other, and that's what we'll start here in a few weeks.
Guys, a couple more things for you before we let you go. But before I forget, we just got the news within the last couple of weeks that we are actually going to be able to have basketball camp this year, which is a big deal. Normally we're able to do 2 weeks. We'll do just one this year. Go ahead and give us the info on camp and where everybody can sign up for that if they and I'm sure they've had their kids home since March, so they want to get them out. So make sure you tell them.
Get them out of the house, right? It's going to be July 20th through the 23rd here on the new floor. But actually, be I guess the first event on the new floor here on campus. But if you visit www.faulknerbasketballcamps.com and that'll take you right to our website. There's a register link up there at the top. And it'll just kind of take you. I think it's linked directly on our website right there where you're showing. They just click that link. It'll take them directly to that site. You just set up an account and register and do it all right there from our website.
Fantastic. All right. So, and that is open to what ages?
5 to 18.
5 to 18. All right. So the other thing, and this is the part that it's still up in the air. I mean, the coronavirus reality is that everything is tentative. So we have a schedule right now. There may be games added. There may be games taken away. Depends on what the NAIA wants to do. We don't really know right now. But as of right now, this is what we have in front of us. In the Open with Huntington College, of course, as we saw last year, the renewal of that was a big deal. That was a great environment to play in. The Jimmy Faulkner Classic. But then, guys, one of the cool things on here for folks around Faulkner is this Christian College Classic. Is something that we're trying to build. And you've got Florida College, Crowley's Ridge, Freed-Hardeman. You've got 4 Church of Christ schools participating in this thing. How big of a deal is that, not just for your program from a basketball standpoint, but from the university, an event like that?
I mean, I think it's really important, just to get all the Church of Christ, schools together in one venue for 2 days and kind of play each other. Florida College come through, who's been in our league, so we obviously cannot play Florida College, but Crawley's Ridge and Freed-Hardeman, bringing some fans. Hopefully there'll be some fans here in Montgomery for those teams as well. But I just think it's a great, neat atmosphere to have all those teams here under one roof, and hopefully we can be able to continue for years to come.
You get into this non-conference schedule, and you guys are very good about the way that you build this non-conference, and then it really ramps up when you get into the Battle at the Beach at Panama City, which we saw great success with last year as a tournament and as a basketball program. You're looking at Thomas, Brescia, and Central Baptist for that. How big is that event for you guys to be able to play 3 games in 3 days and be on the road and get that tournament environment?
Yeah, I think that's huge. I mean, I think it was, like I said, with the virus and everybody worried about scheduling and all that, we weren't able to get to 8 this year, so it won't be a true tournament as it was last year. But I just think we talked, play in 3 games. You go to the national tournament, go to the conference tournament. That's what you got to do. You got to play back to back to back. And you got to be able to win, each and every day. Sometimes with shorter and shorter turnarounds, and I think that and the quality of competition that we have down there. And I mean, Central Baptist was in the top 25 all year last year. William Carey in our league in and out of the top 25. Talladega in the top 25. It's a big time tournament. And Thomas and Brescia both were right there in the mix for their league titles in what was NAIA Division II. So, you got 6 really, really good teams down there playing, and it'll be a great, great event again.
Listen, and you touched on a couple things. The landscape of NAIA basketball looks a whole lot different this year. For us as a conference, you lose a couple of quality programs in Bethel and Martin Methodist that move into the Mid-South Conference. But on the whole, we go from 2 divisions to 1 division. We go from 32 teams in the tournament to 64 teams in an opening round format. How does that change, or does it change anything in terms of the way that you schedule and what you're trying to do as you navigate that year?
Well, I think, they're trying to implement strength of schedule. And I think that's one of the things last year that kind of hurt us. They didn't really take that into account. We had 7 or 8, 6, however many top 25 team wins we had. And for whatever reason, I didn't feel like we got the credit for the wins that we had. And so now all of a sudden you got to play some better teams than some of the teams that have played in the past, because if you do strength of schedule, that's going to factor in there. You obviously need to win those games, but our league is so good with Dalton and Stillman and William Carey and ourselves. And when there's always, really good teams in our league, and some of the teams that haven't played as well are getting better, and their programs are getting better. So our league has constantly sent 3 or 4 teams into the national tournament, and I don't see it being any different this upcoming season.
Yeah, and the other thing that really changes is because you're going to the opening round format, you finish a week earlier now. Whereas you were always wrapping up that last week in February. Regular season's done now on February the 20th, and you're packing these games in pretty quickly. So, again, everything tentative right now, but as of now, we're still allowed 30 games in basketball. We hope that doesn't change from the NAIA, and then still on our regular schedule in terms of bringing guys back in, starting practice and all of that. So how much is communication important for you guys as y'all go into this and kind of navigate these different waters that we've never seen before?
I met with our team on Zoom last Tuesday, and I believe this. We had this conversation last Tuesday. There'll be a lot of teams that will, I think, have excuses for why certain things didn't happen. And I told our guys, I said, I don't, they're going to be things. It's going to be different, but I don't want us to have any excuses for why we can't get something done. I mean, all that is an excuse. So let's figure it out. If somebody goes down or somebody gets the virus or whatever happens, we've got to be able to navigate through those difficult times. That's the same thing in life. We talked about that a little bit last week, that, whatever comes our way, we've got to be able to accept the challenge and keep moving forward and keep improving both on the floor and off the floor. And this is uncharted waters for everybody. I mean, everybody has opinions about what's going on and what's going to happen, but that's all it is an opinion. But when it does go down, whatever it does, whether we have to reduce games or play the same amount of games or miss a game or two during the season, we've got to be able to navigate through that and still be able to perform at a high level, because we want to keep winning. So if you want to keep winning, you got to keep eliminate the excuses and do the best you possibly can and let's bond together as a team. We got 7 new guys coming on our basketball team. We got 8 returning players. We got the same coaches here. We're looking to have a banner year regardless of what the circumstances are.
Fantastic. That is Faulkner men's basketball head coach Scott Sanderson, assistant coach Drew Wilson. Guys, I appreciate you giving us so much time and really catching everybody up on everything going on inside Faulkner basketball. We're back on the other side on the second edition of Talon Talk.
Bless the corners of this house and be the lintel blessed. Bless the hearth and every board and each place of rest, and every door that opens wide to stranger as to kin, and every crystal window pane that lets the starlight in. At home, I'm going home for solace and safety, home where the world will not break me, home. Never forsake me, take me home.
All right, guys, welcome back to Talon Talk, joined by the first ever student athlete guest on Talon Talk. It's our own CJ Williamson. All right, CJ, I have this thing where I don't do it for everybody, but sometimes they come to me and I like to give a nickname to a player. So you kind of got one last year at the very end. I think it was the Dalton game, maybe. We tabbed you the gunner from Gunnersville. Are you good with that, or do we have to go back and try again?
Bring it out. Feed Williamson. Tees up a three. Count it for C.J. Williamson, the gunner from Gunnersville.
I like it.
All right, how is life in Gunnersville this summer, man? It's been a long layoff.
It's been really boring, kind of. I really just been in the gym and going back home, trying to stay away from everybody, trying to stay healthy.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the big things, and we've read about this for college guys, for NBA guys, and I mean, everybody's circumstances are different, but during the virus, it's been hard for a lot of guys to have a hoop to even keep practicing. What about you? Have you had a place where you can work on your game at all?
When I first came home, like where I grew up at, it's an outdoor court, so I've been going up there working on my game by myself. And then lately, the high school and some more gyms opened up. I've been going there shooting.
Okay. Now, how long was that? Because, like, I know some places like Mobile and other places, they like took the rims down on public parks and stuff like that to sort of keep everybody at home. So how long of a layoff did you have before you could get back to actually practicing?
It was really like 2 weeks. When I first got home, they like shut it down, and then other than that, they let me in.
Okay. So listen, man, your first season, and we'll talk about you individually and kind of what you accomplished in your first season in a minute, but let's look at that team perspective. Like, it would be hard for you to imagine much better of a season than what you guys were able to put together. You win a program record 18 consecutive games. You're a 2 seed in the national tournament, and man, we're always going to wonder what if about that tournament and what may have happened. But when you reflect on that group and that team, what made that group special for you?
I think we fit together really well. Everybody was unselfish. We didn't care who was getting the buckets. Like, if Nate was on, Nate was getting the buckets. Malone was on, he was. CJ, me, Garrett. We always just really unselfish and didn't care as long as we was winning.
And boy, winning a lot we did. So that was a lot of fun this past season. But now you go from the new guy where you came in and you spent sort of the first part of the season finding your role. And then once you found it, that was it. We knew who CJ was and what you were going to be able to do. But now you immediately become one of the leaders in the team because you guys graduated a big group of seniors that played a whole lot of minutes. So for that core that's returning, you and Garrett Sanderson and Brandon Reeves, Willie Dunbar, Derek Donegan, I believe Jamarcus Darian, I think that's our primary returners there. Like, for that group of guys, what have y'all talked about? How have y'all stayed in communication?
We really text a lot, and like we basically just said we gotta start where we left off. Like, we lost that one game in the tournament, and that really hurt us. And we came together as a team. Then we said we should never lose like that again, and just came together. Really talked about how everybody got to find their role next year. Some of us got to step up and do what's hard, stuff like that.
Listen, man, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to share screen here so I can show a couple things as we get ready to dive into this. The first thing, when we pop this up, I want you to give me your response here. So you are one of 3 players here at Faulkner that earned some level of All-American honors. You are a 3rd-team All-American. When you first heard that, what was the original reaction for you?
I was grateful, but also had to thank my teammates because without them, I wouldn't have been able to get an award. It was a team effort.
And we'll dive into some of your numbers here. You really, and this is kind of the game where you popped. We could see here 18 against Southeastern, 14 against Huntington, 15 against Tuskegee. We could see that you had scoring ability. On the road against Martin Methodist in a tight one, you go off for 29. That was the first time that you really sort of took over. And your game, though, from that moment, while we knew what you could do as a scorer, it didn't stop growing. You kept adding new elements to your game. So when you look at what you were able to do this first season, absent of just the stats, what did you do to improve your game? Like, how are you a better player now than you were a year ago?
My freshman year, I didn't play that much. And when I was at practice, my confidence really went away. So, like, as my confidence came back, my game really improved and, like, came back too.
So one of the things that we saw you add, and this is, like, take a look at this for me here, okay? So let's go down through November the 30th. Now, your first game's on November 1st. So in the month of November, you made a total of 3 threes. Then December, you made no threes. You only had a few games, but you made no threes. Then stuff really starts to change. Here's one in January. Here's one in the middle of January. Here's one February. But when you get into the stretch run, look at this line. 1 of 1, 3 of 4, 1 of 1, 3 of 5. Like, you really started to add the 3 to your game. How much time did you spend working on that, and what did you do to help you develop that range?
I shot before practice, after practice, in the mornings when I didn't have a class. Coach called me in his office after one game. I don't remember which one it was. He was like, we need you to shoot better because you can get to the rim easy, but if you shoot better, have to guard you further, it's easy for you to score. And when Coach told me that, I just took it upon myself to work harder, improve my shot.
Williamson, 3. Nails it! There's Williamson, 3. Count it! That's not the strongest point of his game, but you see where he's worked to add that, and he's going to be so much more effective with that part of his game.
Listen, it's one of those things, and David Turner and I, who are the broadcast team for Faulkner, we noticed really early on, I think your first game against Southeastern, that Euro step going left is really kind of the go-to move for you. Where'd that come from? Like, who do you pattern that after?
Williamson, look at the hop set to get in the lane. C.J. Williamson all the way in, left hand good. Williamson pushes the break. All the way in, Euro step, right hand won't go, rebound Stokic. Stolen by Bradley, feeds Williamson, and he gets it.
I mean, I watch James Harden a lot because we're both left-handed, and I like how he did it. I just trying to craft my game after some of the things he did.
I haven't seen you flopping yet, though. Is that what's next, or will Coach run you if you start doing that?
I'm not gonna flop.
That's right. So, listen, man, it's been a lot of fun to watch you, and you've got 2 years left here with us. So, do you have some personal goals that you want to accomplish over the next 2 years?
I really just want to improve on and off the court personally. Score all 3 levels on the court, spiritually. Off the court, that's about it, really.
Fantastic. All right, so let's have a little fun, all right? So we shut the world down back in March, and they took sports off TV. They tell you to stay home. And so it's been 4 months almost now since we've been back to campus. What have you done? Has it been Netflix? What are you doing to fill your time?
Netflix, really. I watched so many shows, like all this whole 5-6 seasons of 8 shows.
Okay, so what's the first thing you binged during the shutdown?
The Flash.
The Flash. Okay, so the CW show.
Yes.
All right, give me your takeaways. What hooked you about the Flash?
Oh no, I just like how he put his family first, and then when he did that, I just started watching it, and it was really intriguing. I really don't even know what made me keep watching it. I just liked it, really.
That's a good one. So I remember watching that one when it first came out. This is like before it ever hit Netflix. You know, back like us old people do. We watch one episode a week because that's all that you got. So The Flash was the first thing. Did that send you down a rabbit hole to the other comic book shows, or what'd you do next?
I went to the 100. Some of my friends told me to watch it, and I started watching it.
All right. So how do you rate the 100? What are you giving that
I
one?
really like it so far. I'm only on season 4 right now. It's really good though.
All right. So this is the part of the interview, and we'll do this with all our student athletes, where we kind of want folks to see you beyond just who you are as a player and beyond just who you are on the floor. So, all right, you're a Netflix guy. We've established that. You've been in the CW shows. That's happened. So, what are you listening to? Like, are you a guy that you're listening to music when you work out? What do you do?
I listen to music when I work out. I listen to majority rap, but I listen to some country because I am from Gunnersville. That's all my friends listen to.
All right. So if you're hitting the weights in the gym, like what is it? Is that a country day, or are you mixing it up?
I'll probably mix it up.
Okay.
I'll mix it up. Yes,
all right. So Spotify, what do you do? Apple Music?
Apple Music.
All right. So who's the go-to? Who's at the top of the list on Apple Music?
It would be NBA YoungBoy, Rod Wave, Lil Baby, and probably Luke Bryan.
See, now there's a mix. Like a lot of people aren't going to get from the first name on that list all the way to Luke Bryan, but that shows some versatility. I like that. All right, so you mentioned being from Gunnersville, and one of the things I don't think a lot of people know about you is you were a really good high school football player. You had a lot of success. What is it? 60 touchdowns you caught in your career? Is that the number I heard?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'm sure there were a lot of teams that wanted C.J. Williamson to come be a football player for them. What was the difference for you? What made you choose basketball?
I just fell in love with the grind of basketball. Football, I love the game, but I really never loved the grind. Like working out every day on the field, working on my routes, never loved that. But basketball, I just love being in the gym. When I was having a bad day, I went to the gym. It cleared my mind.
Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things, like, especially if you're going to do a sport at the college level, you have to really love it in order to, because it's a job. It's not just kind of like it was in high school where it's a part-time job. In college, it really becomes a full-time job. So you clearly love it. You play with a passion. You have a lot of fun out there, and that makes it an entertaining thing for the rest of us to watch. Tell me a little bit about the journey. Now, you started at Mercer and you transferred here. So you go from Mercer where you're at Division I. Tell us the story. How did you find out about Faulkner and what led you here?
Well, our coach ended up getting fired at Mercer. And the new coach brought in a lot of people. So a lot of us freshmen transferred. Mm-hmm. And one of my assistant coaches at Mercer, we were really close. He's from Montgomery. And Coach Drew hit him up and they was talking. He told me that'd be a good fit for me. And ever since then, when I came on my visit, I loved it.
Listen, so having been at Mercer, you obviously, you're at the D1 level, you see a lot of good basketball players. I think one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is there's high-level basketball at the NAIA. So how do you compare them? Like, how were you surprised at all at how good some of the guys in the NAIA are?
I wasn't surprised because college basketball is college basketball, and I never take a opponent for granted. The biggest difference I would say would be height. As taller people at a higher level, that's the only thing really I would say that's that big of a difference.
Yeah, and that's a great point. That's one of the things we've talked about before. Like when you get into the guard and the wings, like they're very comparable in the NAIA. It's the bigs. Like that's the thing where it really makes a difference. Like we were able to thrive with Milan Skundrich at 6'5" down there at the 5, whereas at the D1 level, he's probably a 3 or 4 in terms of where he plays. Yeah. So listen, before we wrap up, man, and I really appreciate you taking the time to join us here on a Monday. And you're the first ever guest on Talon Talk as a student athlete, so you'll always remember that.
Yes, sir.
What would you say to a kid right now who is looking at their prospects? They could play at the college level. They've got some offers, because a lot of guys, they get into that D1 mindset and they think that it's D1 or it's nothing. What would you say to them? Because you have been at both levels. What advice would you give?
I would say find the best fit for you. Like, never just go D1 because it's D1. Find where you go play the most, where you fit in the best, where it feels like home to you.
Fantastic. That is CJ Williamson. He's a member of our Faulkner family. CJ, thanks for joining us, bud. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks for having me.
For help. Finds CJ Williamson. Williamson, a little shake and bake all the way in. Left hand goes. Puts CJ Williamson in the book for the first time in his Faulkner career.
Did you know that 100% of Faulkner's computer science graduates
since 2014 have found jobs
in their fields within 6 months of graduating?
It's a great time to be a computer scientist. Everyone is walking around with a computer in their pocket in the form of a smartphone, and it takes software developers to make those things work.
I built church websites, and through the training and instruction that I received from Faulkner, I was able to go right into my career after graduation.
It laid a solid foundation for what you need to know.
I'm getting a lot of hands-on experience within my field, and also they're just giving me a wide variety of options of things that I might want to pursue in the future.
In the state of Alabama alone, there are over 4,000 tech-related jobs available. And the preparation that you receive at Faulkner University will allow you to go to work almost anywhere as a software developer. It's a great time to be a Faulkner Eagle, and it's a great time to be a computer scientist. I hope you'll come and join us.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Talon Talk. Special thanks to Drew Wilson, Scott Sanderson, CJ Williamson for taking the time for this one. Join us next week where we hope to have the Faulkner women's basketball coaches Reed Sutton and Joel Harrison, along with a featured student athlete from that program as we continue on with our summer series of featuring each and every program. Listen, while we are at it, let's remind you, FaulknerEagles.com is your home for all of the latest information regarding the NAIA, the return to play, the coronavirus, and everything you might need to know. Also, follow us at our various social media channels at Faulkner ATHL on Twitter and Faulkner Sports on Facebook. Thanks so much for joining us. You guys have a great one. Good night. God bless you.